أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين نستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به عز وجل وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد أيها المسلمون. With Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, praise be to Allah, the guardian, evolver, cherisher, sustainer of all the worlds. Praise be to Allah, the guardian, evolver, cherisher, sustainer of all of the systems of knowledge. We praise Allah over and over again. We seek Allah's aid. We pray for His forgiveness. We put our complete and total trust in Allah. And highly glorified is Allah above all things. I openly bear witness that there is nothing that deserves worship except Allah, who is one and alone. He has no partner. He has no associate. He is totally independent of everything, but everything and everyone depends upon Allah. I also bear witness to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to whom the Quran was revealed, is the seal of the prophets, a guide to all of humanity for all time. Peace be upon Prophet Muhammad, upon his companions, upon his descendants, and peace be upon all of us. I greet you with the greetings of peace. Assalamu alaikum. We want to welcome everybody and thank everybody for coming out to this very, very important event that we have here today. We are very, very happy to have Khadijah Siddeeq, Imam Muhammad's wife and widow. We are very happy to have her here so she can clarify a lot of things that we have questions about and bring the community up to date on where we stand in reference to the intellectual properties of Imam W.D. Muhammad. We are very, very happy that she's here and allowing her a platform to express to us what's going on is very, very important. So I'm not going to be here that much longer. I just want to ask, you want to come here, sister? Do you want to come here, or would you ever have a table and sit? Okay.
If we're going to record live stream.
Oh, okay. Thank you. That's right. I didn't even think of that. Thank you. So, sister Khadijah, you come and you can begin to address us. We want to get as much time in hearing from you as possible. So we welcome you. Takbir.
Allahu Akbar.
Takbir.
Allahu Akbar.
Takbir.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar. Oh, we also want to make, I know many of you probably may know or may not know, but her whole family is here. Not visiting, they live here. You know, her brother Taqwa Siddeeq, he's here at the Masjid all the time, and they got a real large tribe. So not most of the tribe is here because we would probably have to have more room, but a good amount of the tribe is here, inshallah, today. Sisters, you can come. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. With Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, we bear witness that there's but one God, and we bear witness that Prophet Muhammad is his servant and messenger. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to address you. I do take it very seriously. Anytime someone takes time out of their day to listen to another person is very serious. I don't talk for long, but I will say, and hopefully there are questions you have that I can answer. I'll speak directly first to the statement here on the flyer, which is the developments of the probate court case. It's not what I enjoy talking about, but I'm sure that's what is on everyone's mind right now. And just to kind of take us back some so we can see how the case evolved. Imam Muhammad, when he passed away, he did not have a will, like a will registered with the state. And in legal terminology, they call that intestate. You die intestate, so you don't have a will that says what you want done with everything. So what happens is that all of that person's property goes to the state, and the court system will determine who gets what. The first step in that process was to determine the heirs, which means who is actually related to him. And that is where we had our first challenge as a community. There were people from the family of his first wife, who he had divorced, who wanted to put her in the place of his wife at the time of his death, which was not correct. And they saw me as just some living girl somewhere, and actually said these things about our leader, saying that Shirley Muhammad was his wife, Sister Khadijah, she just lived with him. So those are the types of things that were said. We fought that, alhamdulillah. The judge listened to us. He couldn't override the claim that Shirley had, because she, by some slick moves, was able to still keep her legal certificate that she had been issued, I think in 71, so that it's still recognized by the court, even though they went through a divorce settlement. So the court recognized us both. The next step was to then determine what the assets of the estate are. And the estate went about going after, I guess it saw the intellectual property as the biggest source of, I guess, worth in Imam Muhammad's estate. So the attorney for Shirley, who was given the right to be, or given the privilege or the responsibility to be the administrator of the estate, supervised administrator, her attorney for the estate sent letters to anyone who's known to have produced work by Imam Muhammad and told them to cease and desist, and to pretty much come back and come up with an agreement with the estate. Wallace received one of these letters. This is Imam Muhammad's oldest son. But his response was, I don't need to do this because I own Imam. I own this body of knowledge that is Imam Muhammad. Every picture, every likeness, every tape, everything. He owns it. That was fought out in court with the estate and myself on one side and Wallace on the other. Finally, Wallace conceded some points. Well, okay, he doesn't own everything, but he owns most everything. And still, that is not the correct way. And then we're at a juncture in this case, and what happened was, and please ask questions at the end, because this is not, there's some things that I'm saying that may make total sense to me, but it may not be clear to everyone here. So once it left probate, where Wallace contested, saying that I own everything, it went into a different court system. So now we're in a different court outside of probate. It's called chancery. So in the struggle in that court, the estate and Wallace said, okay, we'll come to an agreement. And at about that time, or before that time, I believe, we petitioned the judge to be what we call an intervener. So we, meaning myself, represented by my attorney, we petitioned to intervene because we felt you have two parties who essentially want the same thing, which is to be in a position financially that is comfortable for them, not necessarily being sensitive to what that's going to do to the community that loves and follows Imam Muhammad. So we requested the judge to intervene. He granted it. They did not like it, and they fought us on it, but the judge did grant it and gave us intervener status. And what that means is that whatever agreement they come up with, we also have to agree as well. So the agreement that they came up with was it gives Wallace an exclusive license over all of Imam Muhammad's work. The estate still owns the work, but Wallace will have an exclusive license for a period of years. So he says to 2032. And what that means is he can sell it, transfer that right, produce, not to produce, pretty much if you want anything that has to do with Imam Muhammad, you have to go through Wallace Muhammad II. I don't feel, and my attorney representing me, I don't feel that's what Imam Muhammad wanted. I don't feel that's what he wanted. If that's what he wanted, he would have done something to move us in that direction. What I saw in his life was an intentional effort. I would see him give the same thing that he gave to Wallace, to Imam Abdul Ghani, to Imam Rana Shaheed, the exact same thing. He knew, I believe he knew what could happen after his death. And he intentionally left things in different places. If he came to speak a place, I've been told that he would tell that community, hey, this belongs to you. You can produce this, help your school, help your masjid. So he knew the worth of his work, and he did not make an effort to centralize all of that and make it all come to one entity to make money. That was not his motivation. So we are contesting this claim by Wallace in the agreement of the estate, and that he can own everything. And people may think, well, what's the problem with that? There's nothing wrong with that. It's no big deal. I mean, that's his son. He inherited his father's work. Isn't that what we all do with our children? We want to pass things down to them. Yes, that is true. But we have to step back and think about what we're talking about here. We're talking about somebody inheriting a body of knowledge. Like, how can someone be qualified by themselves, arbitrarily, to manage a body of knowledge? That's just too much. And to help people understand, I give the analogy of the subjects we study in school. Like, you have mathematics, you have calculus, right? So say, for instance, we lived in a world where the highest math the entire world ever knew was just to be able to work with the 4 operations of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And we got very far by Allah's mercy. You know, we were able to live in peace and, you know, find our daily lives, have families. We're doing good. Then Allah blesses somebody and gives them algebra, trigonometry, calculus. From my niece, I learned there's things called finite math and like all this fancy stuff that I really don't know anything about. But Allah blesses an individual to have that, and he blesses the people around him to see, even though we don't know everything that Imam Muhammad says, we don't see the wisdom all the way to the end of everything he gave us, but we know there's something different, there's something special. So we follow him, we trust him, we just are so busy taking notes. Now, we have among us, we don't even really know how far this can go. We don't really know what it can do. So after he dies, he has a child who maybe wasn't even the most studious among them. Maybe he's still struggling with fractions. But now he's going to be in control of the entire body of knowledge. So what if he goes and he looks at it and he says, wow, these people, they really like this stuff. I could sell it and make some money. Now let's see, what order are we going to put it out? Oh, no, we're not going to do algebra first. That's not interesting. Let's go to integrals. That little cute little S, that looks pretty. Okay, let's put that out. That's going to make a lot of money. So he's making decisions based upon profit, not education. And that's the danger. You've got one person who's going to make these decisions. I don't think there is a person that we have among us that's qualified to do that. We are all learning. The best we could do is to come together and make these decisions. To come together, and not because it's going to make some money, but we have to see it in its educational value and make decisions that way. And then the danger is, if you've got one person controlling everything, it's easy to get to one person. He might start off trying to do as best as he can by all of us, but what if somebody gets to him? It's just one person they have to convince, one person they have to trick. And it jeopardizes our entire community life. And still, if that's not clear, I often ask people, because I thought about it myself as I look at us as a community, and I'm like, well, what makes us a community? What is the community of Imam Muhammad? Like, what is it? And you ask it to a lot of the young people, or anybody for that matter, and they're hard-pressed to give you an answer. Because up until recently, up until the time of Imam Muhammad's passing, his community was just simply defined by our proximity physically to him. So, he's here, I'm in his community. I see him speaking, I come to his speeches, I'm in his community. But now that he's not here physically among us, how do we know when we're still on the path? How do we know when I'm in Imam Muhammad's community and I've stepped outside of Imam Muhammad's community? Is it just because I say I'm part of his community? Does that make me a part of his community? So these are questions that we have to answer. And as I think about it, I think, well, first, what makes a people? It's their language. Like, if you look out across the world, what makes a people truly is how they think and how they put their ideas in language. And look at how Allah has blessed us. We even already say that ourselves. We speak the language of Imam W. Muhammad. And consciously or unconsciously, that's how we decide we've left our community or if we're still in it. We go and we sit there, oh, that brother, he wasn't using the language of Imam Muhammad. So we know we are not in our community anymore. So essentially, what we're trying to get into a position of safety is our language. This is our language. You can't inherit a language. I mean, how are you going to how's someone going to inherit French? And then he's going to sell verbs separate from nouns. And then you expect people to be intelligent. And then in one argument he says, well, it's only for from now to 2032 is the agreement. Couple problems with that. One, that's about 16 years. That's an entire child's education from kindergarten to graduation and a couple years in college. So could you imagine if someone made a mistake, intentionally or unintentionally? You got an entire generation of children that are messed up as a result. So that's not a light thing. The second thing is, once you get something like this in place, nobody's going to go through this all over again. So it's just going to be an automatic renewal. So, okay, yeah, it says to 2032. But in 2032, it's just going to say, just like you have a library book that you've checked out, and you see your time is up, you just ask for a renewal, ask for extension of time, and it will most likely be granted. So we have to own our community. And I think it's hard for us because Imam Muhammad did all the heavy lifting. While he was here, he did all the heavy lifting. All we did, we showed up with papers and pencils, and it was beautiful. But now we have to protect that we see as valuable. And I look at it like I see people's hesitancy to get involved. I don't think it's anything malicious or trying to do anything bad. I think we're just a really loving people. We really just don't like conflict. We don't like conflict. And they're like, oh, you guys are still fighting? Why don't you guys just get along? And I'm like, it's really not that simple. I mean, if there's any getting along to be had, I mean, if you know me, I don't look for conflict. If I can deal with it, I'll deal with it. But I can't deal with this. I can't. So I see it as us, we need to make the sacrifice of Abraham. And from what I understand, what Imam Muhammad taught us, Allah asked him to sacrifice his son. And Imam Muhammad explained to say that here he has a son who's spiritually balanced, but he may not stand up and protect this community that Abraham is building because he's so peace-loving. He's so peaceful that when a wolf comes to tear down everything that Abraham builds up, he's just going to let him come right in. Well, I mean, Allah created everybody, and okay, if he's hungry too, I mean, if he's got to eat me, then that's great. So Prophet Abraham's like, But Allah shows them, well, don't kill your son. And Imam Muhammad explained it this way: don't kill your son, kill that tendency inside of the community to tolerate abuses and to tolerate people just taking your life from you, and you go willingly to slaughter. He said, kill that tendency in us. And I see that's what we're struggling with. We're peace-loving. We don't like to fight. We don't like conflict. But we have to make that sacrifice. You have to stand up and say, no, you're not going to do this. You will meet opposition. And it's not, you have to ask Allah's guidance every step of the way, because every time you have to correct someone, you can't do it with a feather. You've got to show some force. And you have to ask, well, did I use too much force? Did I say harsh words? So you're constantly on the prayer book, but you've got to do it. You've got to do it. So, I see that that's us and that's our challenge, that we have to make that sacrifice. And I'll say another thing on this issue too, because I've reflected on it. Often when I speak, people, they're nervous. Like when I share what my family, I have my Siddeeq family, but I also have my Mohammed family, and the people who I'm facing in court, they're still my family. So they often are really uncomfortable. Well, do you have to say that about this particular person? Why are we going to say that? We don't want to share this stuff. This is uncomfortable. We don't want to talk about this. And I'm like, wait a minute. You got to call a spade a spade. Like, if my brother or if my sister stole something from the store last night, I can't be so sensitive and worried about protecting their honor and character when they didn't do it themselves. I got to call them what they are. They stole something. They're a thief. And I see that tendency, and then just take for a moment, step away. I know that that's hard for us to do sometimes, but let's look at the problem that the Muslim world is in. And many people say, well, why don't Muslims stand up and condemn it? And I wonder myself, in those locations, they know who these people are, blowing up people, killing people, but they probably have the same struggle we have. This was probably the beginning of it. Well, that's brother so-and-so. That's brother so-and-so's son. I can't say nothing bad about him. So then now we allow corruption to grow from a baby that we could check and that we could guide to now it runs our society. And it's killing and maiming, and it identifies us across the world. So we have groups of people, countries, that harbor people. They know who they are, but they won't say who they are. Why? Because this person says they're Muslim. And I believe Allah helps us in that regard, because when you read the Quran, I've seen very few places where Allah says, "O Muslims." He identifies us by verbs. Even in the Arabic language, we're identified by actions. Those who submit their will, those who believe, those who are hypocrites. That should tell us how we're supposed to identify each other. These people that were around the Prophet, the hypocrites, the disbelievers, there wasn't like a sign where they said, yeah, I'm signing in as a hypocrite today. No, everybody came up and said, oh, Prophet, we follow you. We're with you. We're the Muslims. But Allah shows them, no, look at their actions. If you're going to be successful as a leader among this community, you can't take what they say on face value. Look at their actions. Are they talking to the enemy and then coming back and smiling in your face? That's a hypocrite. Every time you tell them something, they can't seem to see it, or they want to question you on it, they're a disbeliever. Now, those who follow you and trust you and have faith in you, those are the believers. So we're to be like the Prophet. We scan the people around us. Doesn't mean we go out and attack people with sticks. No, we say, okay, this person, I see what they're struggling with. Like oftentimes Imam Muhammad would say that. He'd be speaking, and he would say, okay, well, this brother thinks X, Y, and Z about what Imam Muhammad is saying. And he would say, well, I know your problem. He's saying, and I'm going to help you with it, but not today. So just look at the loving situation. He wasn't going to pretend like the person didn't have a problem, nor was he going to give up on that particular brother or sister. And that's what I'm asking for us to do, is that we hold each other to the highest standard of being like the Prophet. when we fall short, be our brother and sister's mirror. And a mirror for the humble person is not for your excellence. Why would I go to a mirror to be, ooh, look at my eyes, tell me more good things about myself? No, you go to a mirror to find the imperfections. So if a brother and sister of a Muslim is their mirror, you should trust me to tell you your imperfections. You shouldn't be exposed to the environment and let the environment tell you what's wrong with you. I should be the one to do it. Tell you, oh, no. This is what you need to fix. And you know I love you. And I'm coming from a place of love. So back to the court case. The challenge or the effort that we have in the court to stop this type of dictatorial or just monarchy over Imam Muhammad's language, it is not the solution. It is not the solution. What it is my response to when Allah says, sacrifice what you have. So I am sacrificing everything I have. As an heir, as someone who's going to be heard, I am pulling out everything in the kitchen sink to stop this from happening. But the solution is not in the court. The solution is right here in the community. And I mean, we say, okay, let's build a model community. We love saying that. Let's build a model community. But what is a community? Is a community a house? Is it a bunch of buildings? Or is it our relationships with each other? So I think we've gotten we need those things to house our community. But just like you wouldn't keep up a house for a mean-spirited spouse, you don't build a house for something that's not quite there yet. If you're having problems in your relationship, hold off on buying this fancy house. Fix the problems in the relationship. So, and Allah's showing us, this is a mirror for us, I believe. I looked at the things that happened after Imam Muhammad's passing, and I'm like, just so hurt. And I saw them as in and of themselves things that we just need to come together and fix. Like if I just let the community know we're going to fix it, it's all going to be good. The first was Imam Muhammad's character. Somebody stands up and maligns his character, said he was pretty much an adulterer, sleeping around, doesn't tell the truth, he tricked this young girl. So people standing up and saying that. And I'm like, okay, for sure, just let the community know. Let our leaders know. They'll deal with it. We'll come together and deal with it. Cricket, cricket, cricket. Then he has a business initiative, CPC. Investors trusted him, and rightly so. Just let the community know. They'll come together. They'll make it right. Cricket, cricket. Well, someone's about to take our whole life from us, take our language from us, take our everything from us. Just let the community know. They'll stop it. So we have to, as a community, be that community that we say we are. And I found out after Imam Muhammad passed that we really didn't have a community. Now hear me out on this. We didn't have a community. And I reflected how he said we would have all these people. We'd be at the convention, Ramadan session, you name it. All these people would be there. And he'd be like, well, only a few of you follow me. And I'm like, but look at all these people. They're all here. Like, well, what about these people? Aren't these the people? This is our community. But I realized after he passed away, if our community was truly a community, all I would have had to do was let them know, and it would have been done. Would have been taken care of. But Allah is showing us you are not there yet. And in his showing us, he gives us a path to get there. It's almost like if a child thinks he or she is independent, and they leave home, and bills come due, That in and of itself is a path to growth. It is hard when they give you the eviction notice. But when you decide, you know what, I'm going to meet this challenge. Okay, how much money do they want? All right, let me go find a job. So there's a path to growth. So as we see these challenges, we don't get sad and like, oh, our community, maybe it's not everything we thought it was. No, you've got to finish the job. Imam Muhammad started it. We have to build it. So the solution, none of these solutions are in the court. And we still have something we have to correct. Imam Muhammad was not a polygamist. He did not have more than one wife. There's nothing wrong with that. Allah permits that. There's nothing wrong with that. But you don't tell a lie on somebody just because it's convenient for you. So we have things we have to fix as a community, because other people are going to come and want to know this history. And we're the ones that have to tell it. So the solution to this issue is we have to first see this model community that Imam Muhammad is asking us to build, not as a series of businesses or a series of schools or buildings or masjids. It is how we treat one another. How do we treat one another? And I don't think it was by accident that Allah gave this challenge to a people that are sensitive to transgressions against human nature. What do I mean? All the other people on the earth, they have built beautiful buildings, and all of these buildings have witnessed atrocities against humanity. They're so beautiful, but how many bones are in between those bricks? How many people did you mistreat to build this thing? But Allah gives us a people who are very sensitive to injustice, the responsibility, the opportunity, the honor to build a truly human community. So I suggest and I ask us as a community, have faith that Allah will give us what we need materially. And work on it. And have faith doesn't mean, okay, let me sit down and not do anything. Let's stop paying the rent for the masjid. That's not what that means. I mean, divert our serious attention from that to actually working on these relationships. Our community should be like the prophet, where every one of us is like the prophet. And when someone drops the standard, we check them on it. Oh no, that's not how you do it in this community. You don't do it like that. Not here. You can go somewhere else and do that. But if you're going to be among us, you have the standard of the prophet. We don't create the standard. I don't create the standard. So if we're all going to say we are part of the ummah, we have to be that standard and we have to uphold that standard. And we cannot be shy about telling our brothers, our sisters, our family members, the people we love, hey, you're not making it. You're not cutting it. And we're not going to take this lying down. You're going to have to change. So that's my hope, is that as a community we come together. And this is one final opportunity that Allah has given us to handle this ourselves. And you may say, well, what if the judge rules in Wallace's favor? Much respect to the judge. But he didn't make you buy anything. I'm sure between everybody in this community, we got every single tape he's got in that warehouse. That's right. So if he wants to sit on top of that, let him sit there. But we don't have to support it. We do not have to support it. Be like the democracy that we live in. Allah has given us guidance in how this nation was started. You have power. We have power. Just because a judge says, well, oh, he has everything, let him come and try to sell something. I'm like, oh, that's nice, but I have my own copy, thank you. And keep walking. Or just we could go and say, hey, look, if you represent us, you have the mosque cares. What's wrong with picketing? And be like, hey, you need to change this. And let it be clear, I want Wallace to sell his tapes, be successful, and to be quite frank, I think he's probably the best person who does that type of thing if you're looking at just the technical quality. Of the people who sold during Imam Muhammad's, during his time with us, he did the best with the technical side of it. So I don't want to see him cut out of anything, but I can't let that sway me when I see, okay, wait a minute now, that's not right. That's not right. Because you can teach somebody how to do a tape, but you can't teach somebody how to be sincere. Like, you have to actually do that and follow through on it. So that's not my goal. My whole goal is not to take away what Wallace has, no. And quite frankly, if he were to do what we ask him to do, he would be the most well-supported of everyone who sells. He would be. And I have absolutely no problem with that. And from that, he should support his family. It shouldn't just be a personal venture. So inshallah, I hope I'm clear. And I'm going to pause my part and open myself up to questions about this, about something else. Oh, and one thing I want to say, I see some youth here, which is good. So you all might be thinking, well, what does this have anything to do with me? Like, why, this is just some people talking about something. This is something that the adults talk about. They just get upset and they argue with each other. What does this have anything to do with me? It has more to do with you than anybody else in this room. Why? Because if we look at history, every generation in their youth, in their teenage, college, or a little bit after years, they made a sacrifice on faith to make the world a little bit better when they got older. So look at the civil rights movement. Many of those people were young folks. Now, as older people, as your energy wanes, you can rest. Even though everything in the world is not right, you know you made a sacrifice to make it a little bit better. So really, the energy for this is going to come from you all. You all have to live with this. You all have to raise your children with this. The older generation, they've already gotten to a certain point where no matter what anybody decides to do, the Imam Muhammad is in their heart. They have the language. They have everything they need. But you all don't have that. This is your fight. And then you may say, well, what makes Imam Muhammad so special? Why does it even matter? And I know you may not say that out loud because you might get in trouble. But I know you think it. Just take for a second and think about this. Everything builds on something that came before. That's how Allah makes this world. It develops. And it develops in a pretty standard way. You have something, and then it goes to something bigger, and it goes to something bigger, and you follow that trajectory on out. If this has a negative slope, it'll go down. A positive, it'll go up. Look around at your life. Do you consider it an intelligent life? Look around at your parents and your family. Do you consider it to be intelligent? As you listen to the Imam deliver the khutbah, he brings very profound information. And one day I did this. I thought about it. Imam sat here in Indianapolis, giving an excellent khutbah. And I stepped outside of myself and I said, wait a minute. We are all ancestors of slaves. Where did he get that from? What university came and bestowed its mercy upon us to help us? Nobody. No university, no established group of people came to the ghettos where we live and helped our people. So please explain to me how we come from less than human being treated for 300 years. And if you look at just the story, even of Frederick Douglass, he was a slave one day, free the next. And like everybody's like, yeah, he's free. Then he turns around, he doesn't know anything about a job. He don't know how to live in the world. Everything a father or a family unit or a community unit would have taught him, he has no idea about how to go about doing that. So how, I ask you, do we get to where we are now? Many of you are in prestigious institutions. Your work is respected. People respect you. How did you get there? Imam W.D. Muhammad. That is the only way you got there. And not, oh, this person who looks a certain way and wears glasses. No. Don't see it like that. Just study. As a young person, I challenge you to go study. Look at our lives as African Americans before the Nation of Islam and before Imam Muhammad. And then look at it after and tell me you don't see why this is necessary. And you look at your other brothers and sisters, African Americans, who we also have to help. They're all part of our family. And you say, well, they got a degree like me. They go to school like me, but something ain't clicking right. So what's making your thinking click correctly consciously or unconsciously, is Allah's intervention through the leader, Imam W.D. Muhammad. So this has everything to do with you. It is very important. And I challenge you to go back and study our history, study what we were capable of. And then look at us now. How are we able to, in a matter of what, just a couple decades, undo or make a lot of progress on centuries worth of damage? How did that happen? That does not make sense. Not this kind of sense. You can know it here. The only solution is that Allah intervened. And where did he get his knowledge from? That's another thing. People think, well, okay, well, he gave it to us, but he must have been to a university. No. Imam Muhammad was educated by Sister Clara Muhammad, then the universities of Islam inside of the community. He did not go and get a degree from a university. So when you listen to what he says, and you say, wow, that's deep. Oh, he must have studied under Professor so-and-so. No, that's not what happened. Allah taught him. Allah taught him. So think about that as you listen to his work, to what comes before, and yourself now. And know too, and I'll share this with you, and I'm sure many of you have experienced this, present some of his information to your professors that you hold dear and see how they respond. I did it unconsciously growing up. My father taught us about Imam Muhammad. He constantly pushed his teachings and told us anytime we had an assignment, we pull it in. So I did that. I'd write my paper. I wasn't like the brightest crown in the crown box. I wasn't stupid, but I wasn't like the valedictorian or, all these fancy people who have all this knowledge among my peers. But I would write a paper. I'd put the insights of Imam Muhammad in it on the subject, and my teacher would lose his or her composure. Who wrote this? I'm like, I wrote it. I just put some things together. And they're like, wow, this is so clear. This is so this, and this is so that. And throughout my entire career as a student, even as a teacher, I go and I came to my teaching job in a creative way, not the established, educated, and high knowledge of English. I teach English language arts. So even as a teacher, I put a lesson together, and the people I work with, they're like, wow, how did you come up with this? Where did this come from? And it's nothing spooky or fancy. I'm like, it's just very simple, We just put this together. But that was the beauty of Imam Muhammad. He gave it to us in a simple, clear way. Everybody else's brain is all knotted up. They can't figure it out. Oh, we have problems with the kids. We can't help them out. And you just bring a little bit of something from Imam Muhammad, and they come alive. And in my class, I had this student who, he did not do anything. Like, it's African-American school, turnaround school. School had been failing for I don't know how many years. State took it over. I got a job at the school as an English teacher. And there was a student, he was so bright. It's 11th graders. So bright. He was so smart. But he would do nothing. Like, he would do, for those of you who do know math, I understood limits when I looked at this young man. His grade was like the limit as x approached 0. It never got to 0, and he made sure of that. But it never went too far away from 0. And I was like, I understand limits. This is his grade. And I would give him an assignment, he'd put his name on it, he would start answering, then he would be done. And he'd look at me, I'm finished. And I'm like, so-and-so, you can do more than this. And he's like, whatever. They tried this on me already, but you can keep talking. So he would give nothing. He would not have anything to say. He would not be rude. He would not be disrespectful. He wasn't somebody with an attitude, nothing like that. So then one day I had them do an essay, and I just brought a simple idea that Imam Muhammad gave us, which was coming from the idea that our religion is patterned on our original nature and that Allah guides us through creation, and what we need comes through our natural life here. But I applied it to the circumstance at hand, which was, I said, all things come from nature. All knowledge comes from nature. And it was part of a sample paragraph. I'd written a sample paragraph. I wanted them to learn how to write this certain type of writing. So I argued this point in this introduction paragraph. Now I have, 8 periods. 5 periods that went by and nobody noticed. They just paid attention. Oh, that's the topic sentence? Okay. Okay, that's supported evidence. Okay, thank you. And you just want us to do this? All right, fine. Get to this period. And I say, okay, everything we have in school comes from the natural world. This boy wakes up and goes, what? What are you telling me? Now, mind you, he didn't say anything, didn't do anything, didn't have any motivation. And I'm like, yes, somebody's listening. So he challenges me each step of the way. Well, what about math? How does math come from the natural world? And I was, well, that's simple. Somebody has something, somebody wanted more. I was like, look at a kid. You give one kid a cookie. Cool, give this kid a cookie. Everybody gets one cookie. Give one kid 2 cookies and this one cookie. Oh, no, that ain't gonna work. Now everybody wants to count. I got 1, he got 2. So math comes from the natural world. And he challenged me, what about this, what about that? This is the kid that did nothing. So I'm showing us even in just the small doses. That was a small dose, far removed from just the pure lectures and everything by Imam Muhammad. And it had such a profound effect on this young man, where nothing else would reach him. All the regular, don't you know you can go to college and you can get a good job? And he's like, I'm prepared for that. Yeah, they tried that on me already. So that got him to wake up. So I'm telling you, I'm trying to convince our young people and people who are not quite sure why they're in our community, this is valuable. Don't take it for granted. It is valuable. And don't wait for somebody else to tell you you're valuable. I have a class in Indianapolis, and some of my students, they have faith in the value. Others are waiting for them to say it's a part of school and this type of diploma and you'll be notified this way and recognized in this way. And I tell them, I'm like, why do you have to have someone else tell you you're valuable? These people didn't wait for somebody to tell them they're valuable. America is a sovereign country. These school systems are separate. They decide, we think this is valuable, we'll teach our children this, and we'll come up with little organizations and recognition ceremonies to get them to succeed. Why can't you have faith in your own self and in your own leader? Why do you have to wait for somebody outside of you to tell you you are valuable? Allah says you're valuable. Why do you now need to say, well, my school didn't say, I got school. They would tell me, I'm like, I didn't see you at the class for a while. Well, I'm busy. No, I got school and I got homework and I'm on this team and I'm on that team. And I'm like, well, why do you have time for all those things? This is just like a little bit of time. Well, I'm tired. I'm like, well, why do you do all that other stuff? Well, because it's this type of program and that type of program and it's prestigious. I'm like, well, who made those programs? People. People made those programs. And look at the state of our education system. And you trust your whole life to that? They don't know what they're doing. The only thing that keeps this educational system propped up are good parents. Take them out and it just fall. They don't know what they're doing. And I'm calling them as youth, like, come to this, have faith. I know your society isn't telling you, oh, go to Imam Muhammad's class, you'll get a scholarship. No. But I'm asking them to see Allah has blessed you with something of dignity too. You are busy in school studying how to be a whole bunch of other people, and they don't have in there anything about you and what you have given the world. And they'll realize it later when they go, like they go later and they go, okay, I've studied this and I studied that, and years have passed, and I'm gone, we're all gone. And they go, well, you've studied this and you've studied that and you've got this PhD, but we're really interested in Imam Muhammad. Anybody know about Imam Muhammad? And then they feel kind of like, well, yeah, I mean, so-and-so, I had his wife tried to teach me a class. What? Tell me something. Well, I mean, I can't because I went and I played kickball during class. And everybody's like, wow, that's just sad. That's just really sad. So this is essentially that situation now. I mean, just imagine, look back. Malcolm X. What if your parents said, come here, young son. Brother Malcolm X, he's going to be in town today. We're going to go to lunch with him. But I got soccer practice. I go to soccer practice. But come on, I'm your parent. Have faith in me. Just come. I know you got soccer practice. I signed you up and I'm paying for it. Come on. No, I don't want to go. So they go to soccer every day. And then this meeting happens over time. Malcolm X is now no longer with us. Years pass. Now, oh, you had an opportunity to sit with Malcolm X every week. I mean, I did, but I want to play soccer. I want to play kickball. Everybody gonna be like, man, that was stupid. And I'm telling you right now, history is right before you. History is right before you. I don't count myself as much, I'm as far as like, oh, here's that person, she's so great. No. But I can't deny a sign that Allah has put there. I did not put it here. And it is Allah's will that things are the way they are. And Allah has allowed me to live longer than Imam Muhammad. And inshallah, I have a lot more life left in front of me to actually grow up with this generation. And don't take somebody's humility or their, they don't want to wrestle you into getting you to stay as thinking they don't have anything valuable to offer. So don't walk by this chance. In your youth, embrace this. You go to college campuses and you put your energy behind all these ridiculous ideas. Come to Spirit Week. You got your face painted, you shouting, totally stepping outside of your character. Just pulling all the stops, all-nighters for professors who made an assignment on a whim. Like, I think I want you to write 10 pages. And you're like, I'm a teacher, I know, we're human. We come up with assignments, and we're not even quite sure what's going to happen with them. And kids are busy dying over them. And I tell my kids, I pray in my heart when I make assignments, I'm like, I am just a person. I pray they listen to God, which means if it's time to go to bed, go to bed. Don't be killing yourself, ruining your relationship with your parents, all because I gave you an assignment. So I'm saying we do that for other things that are of no consequence. We put all our energy and our youth behind these ideas that are stupid and frivolous. Someone came up with them 5 minutes ago. They have no connection to real life. But your community needs you. Your community needs your thoughts. Your community needs your energy. Bring all of that to us. And this is a plan that we didn't just come up with yesterday. As a matter of fact, it's not a plan that we came up with at all. If you follow our history, you see that it began with a desire to show, well, even though God made everybody honorable, we just want to take this group of people and show that we can turn a person into an animal. And then on top of that, tell them, God told me to do it. That sounds real nice. I'm going to say that. God told me to do it. So I'm going to tell that to them. And they didn't do this for 5 minutes, for a day, for a year, or a decade. They did this for centuries. For longer than this country has even been a country, they've done this for. And you think Allah is just going to sit back and go, oh, that's cute. Hopefully those people will be strong enough to overcome all of the effects. No, he's going to intervene. And he has a plan for us. And it's my belief, and it's my personal belief, and people can accept it if they want this. Not, if they don't, that's fine. But I look at it as Allah giving every people as a collective something to offer humanity. And to make them dignify as humanity as symbols. But what have the African American people given humanity? And I say this, I say our contribution is better than any building that anybody has ever built. Better than anything anyone has ever done. Why? Because our contribution is how to bring back human life when the world has rendered it useless. And put it down so low that it just lost all direction in and of itself. It can't figure it out again. And I see that as what the world needs now. There are going to be challenges that science won't help us, computers won't help us, architecture won't help us. When you've got people experiencing the atrocities that this technology can put on human life, they're going to be driven out of their mind and out of their human sensitivities. Go over into these war-torn countries. They can't tell up from down. And it's not by any fault of theirs. They've been put in such a very difficult situation where normal human sensitivities are eroded and they don't know where to turn. But there's a people that Allah has allowed to go through a pain unimaginable before them, and then given them a leader, taught the leader, gave them the education that you need to get back on track. That is what we offer humanity. That blueprint. They don't even know how to do it themselves. The United States goes and they see something wrong with this community. They go overseas. This community is not working right. So they try to put a democracy in place. They leave and then everything falls apart. It's corrupt. So they don't know what to do. We have the solution. It's in its raw form, and actually it's not even complete yet. Why is it not complete? Because one man, as Imam Muhammad, coming and teaching us isn't going to help if he doesn't have his mate as a leader as far as a community, where you can see how people embody that spirit in their daily lives to meet their needs as a group of people, and how they overcome the effects of a bad thing that happened to them. So we have something to offer humanity. We can't say, hey, look at us. We have the example over here. We're not ready for that yet. Like, don't look over here. Not yet. Wait. So, but we have that promise if we would just stick to it and complete the design, complete it. And not by, like I said, not buildings. Be very sensitive about things that threaten human life, human sensitivities, the dignity of that. Follow the Quran. If Allah says, speak a word directly to the truth, don't you do that. Follow that guidance. And when we complete it, not only will our community be honorable, people will then see the light of the Prophet a whole lot in a better focus. Because right now, those who call themselves Muslims, as a collective, are failing. Yes. You can find maybe one or two people, but those who have patterned their societies and what they say is al-Islam, they're not Islam. So not only will we help ourselves, we will help the entire ummah to get everybody back on track. And it is the mercy of God that Allah has chosen us. So, and I'm asking our young people, telling them, this is what you're a part of. There are people who are outside of this community who would give their left foot to be a part of this. And growing up, especially after I started going to the Imam Muhammad's classes, I used to think, I love being African American. What's wrong with people? They're like, oh, African black people. I'm like, we got a serious promise, a serious inheritance for us. I love being African American because nobody else has this charge but us. So take pride in that and get busy. And come, respect your parents, have faith in them. They take you to an Imam Muhammad class, go. They take you to the Masjid, go. I don't care how many soccer games you got, go. And that's how our father was. He didn't care what was happening. I remember, I'll share this and then I'll be quiet. But I thank Allah for my father. I had gotten accepted into Agnes Scott. So I was in high school. And we had been going to the Imam Muhammad's classes in Chicago. And I got accepted to Agnes Scott. All my family lived down here. My sisters were down here. My nieces and nephews. I was like, oh, it's going to be so great. I'm going to go down there. It's going to be so wonderful. And then I took it to my father. I'm like, oh, Dad, I got into Agnes Scott, so I'm going to go. And, they tell everybody, like, oh, you can see the world. College is your thing. Do your thing. And my dad didn't miss a beat. You ain't going there. I was like, but what am I going to tell Agnes Scott? What am I going to tell I have to go down there. And tears and everything. I wasn't the type of child to rebel. I just was like, yes, sir. Then in my room, I'm crying. Dad, I can't go to Agnes Scott. He's like, you're going to go to a school where you're going to get to the imam's class on Saturday or Sunday. Now, whatever school that is, I don't care what it is, but that's the one you're going to. You ain't going all the way to Atlanta or anywhere that's going to take you out of this class. So I was like, yes, sir. I didn't understand it at the time. Like I said, tears were shed, journal entries. I don't know why I can't go to Agnes Scott were written, but I was like, yes, sir. I'll go to the school. And look at Allah's mercy. I turned around and he said, do you know about Butler University, Indianapolis? Never heard of it. Amazing, never heard of it. Senior, never heard of the school right around the corner. He was like, apply to that school. They have a scholarship. I applied. I mean, I learned about it the day the deadline was the deadline. I wrote the application, and it was like, well, I did it. It wasn't one of my best. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get in. Hear back. I get in, get the scholarship, get extra scholarships. Everything I need is taken care of. And looking back now, like I say, I thank my Father. Because the 4 years I had with Imam Muhammad were better than any university they can put together for the rest of the university. You just name it. And I spent some time at Butler. They don't know what they're talking about. I'm looking at these people, they want to be little gods. They sit in their chair, well, let's talk about, I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. And their whole effort as a freshman in college was to get us to let go of our faith in God. They did it in every single class. And I would watch my Christian brothers and sisters just drowning because the text in and of itself of the Bible wasn't enough for them to go to. And they're like, well, that is a contradiction. Well, see, and notice here in this chapter, see that. Look at that mistake or look at that imperfection. They're like, oh, my God. So the whole time the professors were laughing inside, and I could see it on their faces. And what did they want? If they can unseat God, they may say, well, there's no God in that seat, but we know how life works. Whoever beats up the king and kills the king becomes the king. They don't have to say anything. But if you had enough power to unseat them, then you must be the biggest thing in town. So they wanted us to let go of our belief in God. And I would go back a Saturday or Sunday, I don't know why I'm saying Saturday, Sunday class, and I'd be like, can't wait to ask the question. I'm like, Imam Muhammad, this professor said, I think the question was, the professor was trying to say, well, God, if he knows everything, why did he create evil? He's the one who created evil, and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, I know that ain't right. But I just don't know how to say it. And the other kids, they're like, oh, what are we going to do? And then, so I go back and I'm like, oh, Imam Muhammad, this is what the professor said. He was like, didn't miss a beat. I don't know, he was doing something else. He was like, well, it's Surah Al-Falaq. I seek refuge from the created things. It's like if a God gives you an intelligence not to put your hand in the fire, this wasn't how it's supposed to be used. You created that. You gonna go and come up with stupid stuff to harm yourself. That's you. That's your realm. Nothing else has a problem, only you. The plant's not complaining. The animals aren't complaining. But why is this problem just local on you? So I was like, yes. Can't wait till Monday. So but yes, so I'm going to stop and open up for questions.
Yeah, she got a roll going on. She says she don't talk much. And she started talking about Imam Muhammad. We might be here till tomorrow. Alhamdulillah. So we're gonna say this, sister. We're gonna I'm gonna start with the sisters first. Okay, go. I'm gonna start right here. Then
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
What can we do as a community to help you preserve the messenger's works and tapes? Is that this is what it's all about? His works and his tapes?
Yes, ma'am. So I see it as there are two things we have to do. And by doing the one thing, I think Allah will bring about the other. We have the challenge, the real life challenge of protecting the work and making sure it's accessible. But the result of it will be a stronger community life. And that's what we want. Because inshallah, we'll overcome this challenge. And as a result, the byproduct will be stronger community life, more in tune with what the Prophet led us to. And you said, how can we do that? Well, I'll say this. Allah says in the Quran to give your response to Allah and His Messenger when He calls you to that which will give you life. I don't know what your response is. If it were up to me, I wouldn't be able to tell you because you know your skills, you know your assets. I mean, if I were trying to lead you to something I'm trying to do, sure, I can direct you how to help me with my sacrifice, because this is my sacrifice. That does need support, as we will all support each other in our individual sacrifices for the community. But you have to give your response. You have to, as individuals, say, okay, I see the problem. Honestly, what can I do? And don't wait for me. Don't wait for someone else, the leader, whoever, the imam, school teacher, whatever. You have to find your response and get busy. Because I don't know what will work. This is my sacrifice. And I'm sacrificing, like I said, everything I have. I doubt the people who are also heirs are going to be interested in giving me anything after this is all said and done. I'm fine, though. I have faith in God. So I'm willing to sacrifice all of that. Because that's what Allah asks us to do. We sacrifice. And we're living in a day and an age where taking life is not intelligent. So when Allah tells us to sacrifice our lives, it doesn't mean go kill yourself. No, it means, oh man, am I going to be able to eat tomorrow if I do this? Was so-and-so going to like it? Well, as Muslims, that should not be part of our thought process. If you've already decided, well, this is going to give me life, like Allah said, give your response when Allah and His Messenger call you to that which you know is going to give you life. So I can't say exactly what is needed, but I do think we need to stay in touch, not with me, but as a body. Because if our body is not connected and not getting proper information, then those of us with certain skill sets will not know what to do. The brain is connecting everybody. And the brain doesn't make arbitrary decisions. Sometimes it's just let this thing know that this is the situation. And your body sometimes loves you so much it just takes control and helps you. Somebody trips you, you don't go, okay, I need the hand to put itself out to catch. No, the hand reacts, catches you so that you don't harm yourself. So the first thing is be connected as a body. We are connected in our local areas, but how well are we connected nationally? How well does information, good and bad, flow all throughout the community? And I know it's painful. People don't want to talk about bad things, but we can't live our individual lives that way. I can't go to work and say, well, in the evaluation meeting, my principal's only going to tell me nice things. No, I'm ready in the professional world to accept criticism, and I understand that's part of being an adult. Even kids understand that. That's a daily thing. No, Johnny, you can't have 2 cookies. He's got only 1. And as a child, I have to understand I'm not perfect. So we have to let information flow from all parts of our community. And if there's a problem here in Atlanta, maybe there's a solution in Milwaukee. But if we're not in the habit of giving information and receiving it and coming as a group together to see what is going to solve this problem, we will all be dying alone and in our separate places and off the path. So we've got to be communicating. And the next thing is come to these conventions, to a convention, and actually convene on an issue. Like we go to these things in traditional or out of habit, but no work gets done. It's like we go there and we talk about imaginary problems, and I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings, but these are things that I see. We go to conventions and every real problem we have, what is the state of our schools? If I were to take our schools as a collective and pit them against the schools in the United States of America, are they better? Because they should be. And if they're not, all sensitivities aside, we got to identify the problem and come together as a collective to deal with that. And then look again, what's going on with our leaders' work? All sensitivities aside, I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. What's wrong? What do we need to do to fix it? That's what a convention is for. Not to see how many vendors we can pack in one space. Or to see, oh, this is pretty, that was nice, this cultural program was beautiful. No, those things are there because we know we've got some serious issues to take care of. We start with prayer, knowing that, hey, Allah is in charge, He's going to guide us. Saturday and Sunday, we do some serious work, and then we sit down and we enjoy some nice, good food and good entertainment to let everybody know it's no hard feelings, but we just got to take care of our community. So we've got to convene on these issues. We are intelligent. We work for other people. It's almost like we take our brain that we use in the professional world, and we check it at the door when it comes to our Muslim community. The same things that fly or that help that get along, we don't use them here. So I'm saying use that here, not just to the young folk, the old folk too. Old folk. I'm an old folk too. I think I'm old. So that didn't mean any offense by that. That's me too. But yeah, I see that we have to, if we're gonna solve this problem, we've got to do that. And this isn't the last one. I mean, look at any other community. Problems are coming every single second. But look at the mercy of God. He gives us problems that are easy to solve if we just have the strength to solve them. So that once we've formed and we know how to defend ourselves, in the future, we just say the word and we organize. And we know how to push back against things that threaten our community.
Hi, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
It's interesting, your name is Khadijah, but you're teaching us like Aisha. Alhamdulillah. I wanted to ask the question that I asked on the blog talk show. Why is it that the information about the court case is not reaching the community? Because until your brother brought it to my attention a couple of weeks ago, I didn't know anything about it. And if I didn't know, I'm sure a lot of people didn't know. And if the information is not getting out, how can we get it out so we can galvanize our community to support the efforts so that we as a community don't lose the access to the imam's intellectual property?
I think that is a really good question. I can't say why. I do know that at each step of the way, my father and I, we've been very open. Every time we write, we come, we speak. We do everything we can to keep people informed. But I think those who have means of communication should ask themselves that question. Like, I'm responsible to communicate information. Why was this information not communicated? And then on top of that, we live in a world, a society, a time where they have like individual reporters, even on the news. The news people, they come on at 6 o'clock and get dressed up all pretty and such. But in all honesty, those good stories come from average people. So I think now's the time where the individual person is saying enough with this. The people who we've trusted to look out for us and they're going to give us information are not doing that. So what can we do to make sure we get that information? I've offered myself to, like, if you just send me an email, anytime I get information, I will share it with you. And the hope is that you will also share it with someone else. So this is not just for personal information like, oh, okay, I found out myself, now I'm good. No, I'm hoping that we'll create those channels, like I was talking about, where we can communicate back and forth. And anytime you have a group of people together, I say talk to them. I'm no imam, but if I were, I mean, ever since Imam Muhammad passed, I know it get kind of, some people who like interesting things every Friday might get mad at me, but I talk about this every single day. You know how many Fridays there have been since Imam Muhammad passed? What if every imam in our association actually said something about this? And I believe Allah allows for it. Is not the second half of the khutbah for community concerns? So Allah gives us a way of education that will reach the believers. They're required to come to Jummah. So, I mean, I would do that. And like I said, it may not be creative, it may not be sparkly, but it's necessary.
Okay. Okay. Khadijah, do I understand you to mean that you do not want to share the intellectual property with Wallace? Is that what you're saying? That's not your goal?
Bring it down. Oh, that's the speaker right here.
Okay. I was saying, are you saying that your goal is not to share the intellectual property with Wallace? That's not your primary goal?
Okay, you're saying you're saying is my goal to not share with him?
No, are you saying that it is not your goal to share the property, the intellectual property, that that's not your major goal?
Can you put it in a positive statement? Because I think the
No,
negative.
that's the way I mean it.
Okay, so you're saying, is it not my goal to share the property with Wallace? Well, I'll tell you what is my goal. Maybe that will be helpful. Like I said, I really believe that Wallace would be the person who will be most enriched. And I haven't the slightest problem with that because he does good work. I have no problem with that. The only problem I have is that you can't take an entire people and their whole life and their future and give it to one person in their whim. That's the only thing I disagree with. I have no problem with Wallace making money. Heck, he should be rich. That's fine. He does his work. Let him get what he earned. The only problem I have is that we give enemies to our community a very easy entryway to take it over. And it doesn't mean that Wallace could be the most beautiful person on the planet Earth. But any intelligent society knows you don't put everything in one place with one person thinking on it. So it wouldn't work if it were me. I don't know everything. I have good days, I have bad days. I should consult with people. And that's all I'm saying. Because at the end of the day, when this is resolved, like I said, Wallace is going to be the most established person in our community to do this work. And I have no problem with that. Because when you look at what people put out and you look at the quality that he gives, it's the best quality, hands down. It's the best quality. But you can't have one person. A king, we don't ask, well, was he a good king? We ask, is this how God wants community life to be? Where one person makes decisions for everybody? Or should we put in something in place that will get us through a good leader and a not so good leader? So I have no problem at all. I'd be the first to buy from him. The only thing that stops me from buying from him now is that I know my dollar I give to him is going to come back and smack me in the face. That's the only reason I'm not. But it's a hard fast, because I would like me some more tapes to listen to. But no, I'm not interested in taking anything from Wallace or nothing like that. It's just that it's like Allah says in Quraysh. And I don't think it's no accident all the surahs Allah puts in the Quran. Why is there a surah titled Quraysh? Because they are the family that inherited the responsibility to take care of the Kaaba. But they can't see it as this is our family right. Allah tells them to adore the Lord of this house. And he's protected you just from this position. And all he asks you to do is make it so that everyone can come and benefit from this. So just by being the family of Imam Muhammad, we will get honors unimaginable. But we cannot see this as, oh, well, this is just us. We inherited, this is our dad's. The Quraysh can't do that. We can't do that. And if it was an issue that was only relevant during the time of the Prophet, why is it in the Quran? That Allah calls them by name. The family, the tribe of Quraysh. You make your living by keeping up this house. And Allah tells them where their attention should be. Don't make your attention on money. I keep you safe. In winter and in summer. So what should you do? Adore your Lord. Don't see how I can make a little bit of extra money this way. No. Adore the Lord of this house. So to the family, my family, Imam Muhammad's family, read Surah Quraysh. And as you decide on what to do, be honest about what is the right of the believer and that you are given the dignified station to share it out and what is truly yours. Because there are some things that are indeed the families and it has nothing to do with the community. But this is the communities. And it should be no problem because are they not also part of the community? So it's not like they're lost in any way. They get a double reward. You're the family of the leader and you're part of the community. So what is there to lose? Wa alaikum assalam.
Delighted to be here today to hear you personally. As a man, I will say that most of us get emails from the council and recently got a piece moved out last year. So many of us do know what is going on. I personally have been offended by the way you have been treated from immediately after our dear Imam passed, rahimahullah. So I will say to you that, oh, you can't hear me? I can talk louder. Those of you who know me know I can. All right, so what I'm saying is that this family does need our support, and so does the other part of the family. And what we all have to understand is what is the inheritance of the prophets? What is the inheritance of the learned and the inspired believers? Knowledge. That inheritance belongs to all of us. Belongs to all of us.
But Imam, if you keep the question, because we got okay. Make it not a statement, a question.
What I'm going to suggest is that perhaps, and I hope y'all will consider this, do we need to mount letters of support at this point to the court? Do we need to prepare to mount some kind of class action to protect this knowledge and make sure that it is generally available for the community of Muslims all over the globe? And I actually don't believe they're going to be able to pull it all back because there's a lot of knowledge out there. So that's my question. Thank you. Excuse my...
Assalamu alaikum. I think that we should be ready to do whatever it is we've got to do. Like I said, if you know me, I'm the person that will not make a wave. I won't make anybody feel uncomfortable. But when you have to rise to the occasion, you have to be prepared to do what you got to do. So I'm saying, if Allah puts that on your heart, I would be ready to go. If we have to do that, be ready to go. So we don't lose a step. But inshallah, it won't, we hope it doesn't We don't have to go that far, but if we're going to have to go that far, we're going to have to go that far. But I think the most important things, though, because some people will say, well, oh, there will be fair use. Like, you can use it. You have fair use. And indeed, there may be tapes all over the place. Let's say, for instance, there are tapes everywhere, every single tape, everywhere. But how do we know that when someone made a transcript from the audio or the video to the transcript itself, it's correct? If in the time of the prophets, there were people who joined the community for the express purpose, no other reason, than to move things out of their proper places. So are we gonna, and to this day, I don't read any transcripts that are put out by WDM Publications, I don't. And the reason why is because if this side of my family can stand by and watch a lie told on our imam's character, why would I trust them to do things that I don't even know about? And they know I know what's true in that respect, but I'm going to give everything over and build my whole life on these words given to me by people who I already know are not honest? That doesn't say that they can't put anything out, but I think it would do Wallace a great service if there were guidelines for how to do these things. And even there are sincere brothers and sisters who want to get involved and want to share Imam Muhammad's work, but they don't have any guidance on how to do it. How do you take something from transcript to publication? For example, Imam Muhammad, there will be people who come over our house, and in the middle of the conversation, there might be, pass me the greens, Khadijah. Well, see, the greens means, now mind you, they transcribe this, right? So, Khadijah passed me the greens. So then, 50 years later, we just straight transcribed it, right? So 50 years later, people are studying Imam Muhammad. Well, see, if you look closely, green represented the life, and pass me the greens. I'm like, no. He literally just asked me to pass him the greens. Like, that was it. It was nothing deep or anything like that. So it's like we need these guidelines. We need them for people who mean bad and for people who are just trying to get involved. But we can guide them on, just bring that here and I'll show you, okay, no, yeah, that was something else. And I may not be the person you bring it to always. I'm relatively young with respect to the age of our community. There are other people who were in and around him, and they can tell you, well, this is what he was talking about. So we need to have that in a situation where one person's not going to know all that. So if Wallace is just making the decision, okay, I'm going to transcribe this lecture, he doesn't have to go to anybody to help him or vet it or say, okay, well, yes, do this, or no, don't do that. Then he can just put out things even unaware. It doesn't have to be malicious. It's just unaware. And what would be the byproduct if we were to do these things? Strong community life. Because we would have to come together. We'd have to come up with a process to do that, to replace people on the board, stay in contact with each other, have an educated community going from youth to adulthood such that they can serve on this committee. Look at the many blessings. Whereas opposed the flip side, okay, we're waiting for the new tape to come out. We have no part in this. We just wait for these people to decide. After Wallace, who knows who's next? So I'm saying this, yes, you can imagine a life underneath that, but I don't think that's where we were headed.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
I apologize. I didn't get here in time to hear the complete lecture. But I just have one concern coming on the end. I've heard a little bit about the case, a little bit here and there, so you would be the best person for me to address this to. I heard personally, prior to Imam Muhammad's passing, I heard personally prior to Imam Muhammad's passing that he asked Wallace to, he had W.D. Muhammad Ministry himself, and Wallace was the person who handled much of the work for him during his life. And upon his passing, I heard him say that Wallace would be the one to continue the distribution. Now, maybe he didn't have an understanding that Wallace needed to know more or that some other people would be better. But I'm thinking that if a person makes a statement, this is what I'm not clear on that I need understanding of. If I wrote several books, if I did several lectures, and I have a son and a daughter, and I specifically say that I would like my son to be the distributor of this, then does someone else upon my death get to come and say, well, I don't think he's really qualified to do it, and that it should be done this way? And I'm not saying these things aren't legitimate, but I just have heard so many things attributed by Imam Muhammad by people in this community who say that they know and understand the teachings of Imam Muhammad. And if you were just a lay person, if you just listened, he didn't say many of those things that have been said. You know, I'm just a little disturbed in regard to Imam W.D. Muhammad and what he gave to us. You know, a lot of it's been put publicly, like all the Ramadan sessions have been made public online. I'm just trying to understand, where does Imam Muhammad's desires that he made public to us fall in the realm of what we're discussing here? And if this is redundant or if I'm out of place, I do apologize.
Yes, thank you. Actually, that's a very good question. So you said first thing, did Imam Muhammad give Wallace or expect Wallace to distribute his material? Yes, he did. And I don't dispute that. But let me give you this example. If Michael Jackson gave a store, let's say Music City, rights to distribute his work, it doesn't give Music City ownership of Michael Jackson's work. Now, he may forever be a protected distributor, which is a very good situation to have, because everybody else, we may not be so sure. So I am not saying, and I do not want Wallace to stop distributing, because if he stopped distributing, we'd be in a hard place, because he has developed a way to do this quickly. So that's not the issue. And you say, well, isn't this what Imam Muhammad wanted? Yes, he wants him to distribute, but I also saw, like I said earlier, he set up Wallace during his lifetime. He gave him WDM Publications, which is a business. And no one denies that belongs to him. And it will become very rich. No one denies that. But at the same time, everything he gave to Wallace, he gave to Imam Abdul Ghani, he gave to Imam Rano Shahi, he gave to Brother Morocco, he gave to people who asked. He never once said, that I know about, everybody, this thing is Wallace's. Now I say that I know about. And I'm looking at how he lived, and I'm watching, and I'm wondering too. I'm like, well, why is he doing that? Because our financial part of us, our business part of us, tells us that's not how you make money. You don't just spread it around everywhere. You isolate it. You make it scarce. That's how you make money. And then also I heard him say to the group of 3 brothers that came every Thursday, what you record of me belongs to you. He didn't say go to Wallace. He didn't say, oh, by the way, please take this to Wallace. He said it belongs to you. Do with it what you see fit. And if I'm still around here, I'd like to see it. So, and I'm not saying that that this is the only answer. But I am saying that we have to come together. You know, I would respect the decision to give Wallace everything. I'd still fight it in some way, but I respect it a little more if we all as a community came together and all of us as a community said, you know what? I think Wallace should have it all. At least we would show maturity as a community, not just let somebody take something from us and we just roll over. At least we gave it to him. So I'm saying we should come together. I don't have all the answers. I just know this is not right. Everyone with their knowledge of Imam Muhammad should come together and help solve this issue. How do we do it? We can't just have it all out in the public domain, but we can't have it all out just with one person. This is going to impact all of us and all of our children. So Imam Muhammad never showed me in any way, shape, or form, or never said Wallace will own everything. Yes, he's distributor, but so are other people that he also sanctioned and supported with new supplies of tapes. So we have to rectify all of these things. Wallace is not the only person. We have to be fair to everybody. And people we don't know yet, who may be youth and they're not even quite born yet or born at all yet. So we have to make a way for them.
Please make your question. No, everybody. Just in case everybody don't know, brothers and sisters, we don't have a lot of time. Ask a question, not a football, not a statement. Just ask a question. This for everybody.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
I just had 3 questions. Okay, I understand that, but I think it's fair that giving you some solutionable questions like you asked for in the beginning of your talk is also the responsibility of us.
Just a question.
Now, one question was, do you believe that Allah is the creator of all knowledge? Because that solved the problem of the court thing. Number 2, do we need to understand obey Allah and obeying his messenger is the solution to all of our problems? Imam Muhammad done that one time when he said, Wallace D. Muhammad follows Warf D. Muhammad, and Warf D. Muhammad obeys Allah and his messenger. The question is, do you believe that? I'm asking you, not you personally, do you believe that that is the solution to some of the solutions that you are looking for, dealing with the court, dealing with having a community? We know a community. Do you believe that establishing the 5 pillars of Islam, a way Allah has described for us in order for us to be called a Muslim, a believing Muslim, do you think that also will solve the unity, community desires that you have? Yeah,
Okay, so now you're asking all of us, so you wanted me to answer it by myself?
No, just you, because remember, we're here to hear what you have to say, and if we have any solutions to help give you, alhamdulillah, help solve all of our problems.
Okay, so the first question, do I believe that Allah is the creator of all knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. The second question you said is the...
Do you believe that obeying Allah and his messenger
is the solution?
resolve all of our problems? So that's the book of knowledge. It's the knowledge of all the knowledge that we're talking about now, even the knowledge we're just discussing about in the court.
Yes, sir.
We should not put so much emphasis on the knowledge.
Okay, and the third question was?
Okay, you were talking about community, and you said that might be one of the solutions to help us. You was asking us to answer you that. So I'll just answer that. Until we establish,
Yo, it's fine. We got one question left. What's the last one, sir?
Do you believe that establishing the pillars of Islam, the articles of faith, will help us establish the help that you're looking from having a community? So we're not going to be one until then.
Yes, sir. And I want to clarify my yeses. I'd say yes, sir, to all of those. However, those are general principles. Like, for example, we're given the adhan to wake us up in the morning. And it starts by saying, Allahu Akbar, God is greater. As a Muslim, I live in the world. So Allah is greater than what will be different for each of our lives. So when Allah gives us the adhan, as an intelligent member of the human community, I'm to apply it to my current circumstance. So if I'm sleeping at the time of the adhan, and I apply Allahu Akbar, it means get out of my bed. If I'm playing video games, because I played them all through the night and shouldn't have been playing them, Allahu Akbar means stop playing a video game. So I say yes to all of those questions, but we have to live in our reality. And when I say yes and saying the 5 pillars are a solution to the problem, they are, but we have to put them to work. So the first one, we bear witness that there is but one God, which means I'm not going to be scared. If God tells me something in the Quran to act, I'm going to do it because there's no one else judging me but him. That the prophet is his messenger, that means what God asks us to do is attainable. And that here is someone who has done it. So if you get a little bit afraid or a little bit lost, go to his example as we apply it to our circumstance. If I'm a student, I'm going to apply it as a student. If I live in Egypt, I'm going to apply it to my problems in Egypt. But I live right here in the community of Imam W.D. Muhammad, so anytime I look at those pillars, I'm going to do them. So I've got prayer, and I've got zakat, and I've got hajj, and I'm going to apply them all in my reality. Because when Allah asks me before his judgment seat, he's not going to ask me the abstract, did you give zakat? No, he's going to give a name to that zakat. Did you pass by this little boy who asked just for a smile and you gave him a grumpy face? He's not going to ask me, well, did you do pillar number 4? Or he's not going to ask me, well, did you bear witnesses there was just one God? No, he's going to say, how long did you sleep in your bed while the adhan was called? So I'm not going to be asked on abstract. I'm going to be asked on specifics that only I know about, that no one else knew I had an obligation to. So yes, that is exactly right. Those are the solutions to our problems, but we have to put them to work, put them on our problems so we can solve them. Wa alaikum assalam.
We're very familiar with the Siddeeq family, also very familiar with the Mohammed family on the other side. And my main thing I wanted to ask you is that last speech that you did for shared freedom space. I think that's part of what kind of frees my mind when I think about this whole probate court thing. Is Imam Muhammad taught us to think, to be logical, and also that everybody has their own shared freedom space, right? So while it's one thing that he does offer is the lectures wholesale, so people are able to still get the information and still able to make money from it themselves. The transcripts are available. It seems very available to me. So I'm trying to see, like even with Prophet Muhammad, you had all these 4 schools of thought, and people decided which way they were going to go. It seemed like that we're back at that same place now. So how do we get to the point where we're not trying to take paths, but seeing how the body of knowledge can help the whole world go forward, as opposed to getting into these little circles?
Okay, so I think there were a couple questions. So the first is things are available. So you're not sure what the alarm is for, because things are available. You can get them singly, you can get them wholesale, you can make money. It's on YouTube. Okay. A couple things. One, that's how it is now. And like I said, you can have someone who is understanding in a position of total control. And we're right now at a point where we can decide to either say no or yes to this. So say, for instance, Wallace does everything he's supposed to do by our community. But the way things are now is whoever takes his place doesn't have to. And he's not qualified as an individual. None of us are as an individual to manage the life of people. If we accept to live in the American society, we all understand that fact, that there is no person, no matter how smart, no matter how charitable, that they can arbitrarily direct the lives of an entire group of people. So it's not that, oh, we won't have tapes, or oh, we won't have this, and oh, we won't have that. We may have a lot of those things. But that is a responsibility for the community and not for one person, and it protects him. And it gives us honor at the same time, because we are invited to manage our own lives, because this is the single most important thing that makes us who we are. And it protects us from, like I said, everybody doesn't love us. Everybody does not love us. There are people who are just angry that Allah would even bless us in such a way. And when they see, oh, dang, they set up their community like that, I know how to get in that. And they all gonna follow blindly too. All I have to do is say, Imam Muhammad said X, Y, Z. And they all gonna say, oh, okay, teach this to all the kids. Imam Muhammad said. So it's a matter of getting us in a safe place as a community. And it's not a matter of taking anything from Wallace. Like I said, he pretty much is gonna, if he's been doing all these things already, he's fine. He's just business as usual. Keep pumping out tapes, keep making money. And like I said, I'd be the first person to buy. But I just know right now that the money will come right back and hurt me. So I'm not advocating that. I'm just saying, what is wrong with you being important too? That's all. What is wrong with that? What is so wrong? Especially, it'd be different if the person we were talking about had a different mindset, where he came the first Sunday saying, okay, how many people are we going to get in today? Or, okay, that's about $50 for each person. And yeah, I'm going to speak today to really get everybody's attention. I want them to pull out the money and make the don. That's not the type of person Imam Muhammad was. He encouraged us to follow him. He let no barrier come between us and him. None. Absolutely none. He's even invited us to be him. Be Imam W.D. Muhammad. So that's what encourages me. And the fact that he did not tie this up tightly. I believe he knew this was bigger than even what he could do. Because he knew it wasn't such that, okay, I'm going to give this to so-and-so and this to so-and-so, and then brother so-and-so over here, I want him to do this. No. I think he knew it couldn't follow the normal route that an inheritance would take. And he actually said, I'm working to get everything out of my name. Physical property. He said, I don't have any houses in my name because of what happened after my father's passing. So I don't want anything in my name. And he would work to make sure, so it tells us that he knew what happens after a person like him dies. And he wasn't lost on the fact that there are things worth a lot of money. Occasionally he would say, here, Khadijah, take this poem, save it. One day you can use it and make some money and support yourself. So he knew the reality after his passing, but he did not touch how it would be performed. Why not? I believe either Allah just said, no, don't do that. But he left it open so that if we had it in our heart to really complete the design, he did not put anything in its way. And that's the thing we have to remember, is that people are giving us things and making it seem like the status quo, but they created that status quo. That's not how Imam Muhammad put it. They put things in place. It's almost like someone who takes takes a person, enslaves them, keeps slavery around for 10 years, and they go, well, what's wrong? Does this system work for you? Like, wait a minute, God didn't make me this way. Why are you making trouble? Why can't you just go along with things? I'm like, well, if things were patterned the way God wanted them to, I wouldn't have a problem. But you're making it seem like I'm making trouble when you've put a system in place that's not consistent with how it was supposed to be anyway.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. I know some of y'all gonna be mad at me, but mashallah. No, I'm not saying that arrogant. I'm really saying that humbly. You know, we got one question left. Imam. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, we're gonna. A couple of people had questions. We don't end it now.
No, it's okay.
Okay. Okay, alhamdulillah.
Yes, sir. So, the contact information, you can email me, khsiddeeq@gmail.com. So, if you're interested in, when we get information, us giving you information, email me. If you have a question, email me. And I want to leave just this one idea as well. Sometimes people say, well, oh, Sister Khadijah, they did this to you, and they did that to you, and they did this to you, and they did that to you, and we our hearts go out, and we'll help you. And I just go, oh, no. Because I am fine. I don't know if you noticed it, but I'm smiling, I'm fine. Allah has blessed me. Despite everything people have done, I am thankful, very thankful to God. But Allah is using me to show you what people would do to you. If you have the characteristics that I have, like I said, I don't like getting in an argument. I don't like causing problems. I have total 100% complete faith in Imam W.D. Muhammad. So they see that as an opportunity to go, almost like Allah said, here's this camel. Let this camel also have watering rights. And for no other reason than just because they can, they hamstring the camel. So it's showing us what they would do to us as a community. It's not me, because I'm not in any pain. Personally, I'm fine. But this is the regard they have for the wife of the leader? Then what kind of regard are they going to have from somebody who we won't even know when you've been wronged? So I think I should say it again. The email, khsiddeeq@gmail.com. khsiddeeq@gmail. Two E's and two Q's, like Siddeeq. Mm-hmm. Okay.
We'll get it to you. We'll post it.
Okay. All right. I'll do that.
Takbir. Allahu Akbar. Takbir. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Thank you, sister. Alhamdulillah. So, brothers and sisters, it's 3 o'clock, and we always try to keep things going in the same way. The bucket is being passed right now, and this is part of United Sunday that we passed the bucket. We want to thank everybody for coming. Imam Furqan has some closing remarks, and we just want to remind everybody. Y'all see, we have a lot of people here today. We got some food, but we ain't gonna be able to pile it on like we normally do. So let's make sure that everybody eats, mainly our guests. You know, we have food out there. I still have 2 trays of chicken in my car. I'm gonna go get that inshallah soon. So, Imam Furqan. Okay. Go ahead, make it.
Assalamu alaikum. The CDs will be available shortly after we finish. It's actually 2 CDs. The first CD is finished. I'm waiting for the second one to finalize so I can start duplicating it. $10 per CD, so it's a 2 CD set So that's $20 if you want it. Be mindful of the fact that the sales from this will go to Sister Khadijah to help her with her expenses with the court case. The DVD will not be available until Friday. I'm not sure how many DVDs there are yet, but there'll be $15 each per DVD. If you want to purchase the CD, Brother Anis Fardan he'll be sitting out there at the treasurer's desk. So you can get the CDs. If you want the DVD, we're going to have to take a list of names, and you can pre-order if you want. And for those who live out of town, if you don't live in Atlanta, we need to get your mailing address, and you have to pay a little bit more so we can mail it to you. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. We want to thank Sister Khadijah for coming here. And she didn't charge any fee, but she didn't fly here like a bird. It took money to get here to fly and to put her up in the hotel. So we are expecting for these funds to help defray what we have paid for the plane and the hotel. And we want to thank for this first Sunday, United Talim. As you know, we rotate throughout the state of Georgia. And that's Augusta, Georgia, Griffin, Georgia, LaGrange, Georgia, Albany, Savannah, Macon, and Atlanta. And we also expect for those masjid, the imams of those masjid, to give a donation to help to defray this, because we don't believe that Masjid al-Mu'minun should have to pay for this on their own. I want to bring some clarity to all of you. I'm sorry. Should be 7th, Columbus, Georgia. Maybe I didn't say Columbus because I didn't see Imam Yahya here. I don't know. Because you make sure you get the word to him that we need some money. Imam W.D. Muhammad, everyone should know this. Khadijah said this, but I'm not sure that you get it. Imam Muhammad gave W.D. Muhammad publication to Wallace D. Muhammad II. W.D. Muhammad publication is a business. And there's a difference between W.D. Muhammad publication and the intellectual property of Imam W.D. Muhammad. Please do not equate them as the same. I don't know how many imams we have in this room that have traveled with the imam or was sent to a country or somewhere on his behalf. Praise be to Allah, I'm one of those imams. Imam Muhammad, when he came to LaGrange College, and I'm sure he said this to different imams privately, Imam Furqan, the lecture that I've given here at LaGrange College, it's yours. Sell it and make money for the community that you're over. I don't know how many more imams he said when he gave speeches in their city at banquets and what have you. That has nothing to do with W.D. Muhammad publication. That's dealing with the intellectual property of Imam Muhammad. So again, I'm so delighted to have Sister Khadijah to come here and have an opportunity to speak to us, because hopefully this will cut down on some of the whispering. And I believe that an informed community is a better community when you are informed. And so we have received a lot of information here. We hope that you chew on it, digest it, and now you have contact information yourself with Sister Khadijah, and we will hope that you utilize that. Again, we'd like to thank everyone for being here today and participating in our United Talim service. Next Sunday, April, we will be, inshallah, in Columbus, Georgia, and we will hope that you will follow us to Columbus, Georgia. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Allahu Akbar. And we're gonna give you the amount of money that we have collected here today. I don't believe in collecting money and not share with the people who gave the money how much did we collect, because I know that caused a whole lot of whispering. We don't want that.
And they counting now. They counting now. Brothers and sisters, again, we want to thank everybody for coming. We really appreciate seeing all of you all here. And we should make dua for our community, brothers and sisters. Let's make dua that Allah bring about a good situation for us, and that we come together closer. We're gonna have the count shortly. So, brothers and sisters, let's make dua that Allah bless our community, that He help us to come together in unity, that He help us be good stewards of the intellectual properties of Imam Muhammad, and that we love each other, and that we be sincere with each other. And let's close out with Al-Fatiha. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Amen. One more thing. We want all of the imams to please stand up. If all the imams will please stand up. All of the Imam Rashad, Imam Cleeman. We want all the imams to stand up. These are the leaders of our community. So we want to have love and respect for our leaders.
Yeah, and I thought I seen Minister Akbar here.
Yeah, he was here. I don't know if he left, but yeah, Minister Akbar Muhammad was here.
Yeah, so we have Minister Akbar here from the Nation of Islam. I thought I was gonna get a chance to holler at him. But okay, yeah.
So we want to personally thank all of y'all for coming out today and giving us the support. Alhamdulillah. So, Brother Anis, could you ask Imam Furqan, ask him what the count is before we leave, so we can give everybody. Before y'all leave, I want to give y'all the count on how much money we collected. Well, I think we got plenty. We got plenty. We just gotta be sparingly with the meals, because we got a lot of people. Could you go run and ask Brother Anis Furdan how much we collected?
I said, now he know I was the first one.
No,
I said, he didn't even come back, but that's okay.
Which is all right. Now I gotta tell you. See, other people. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. We collected.
Let's make it 500.
We good. Brothers and sisters, we collected $433 in the charity. So we are very thankful to Allah. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. And don't forget to support the vendors.